What's the next thing on the list, Sharon?
The next thing is you need to get the friendly bacteria in these children's colons. And a good way to do that is yogurt and kefir. Now, kefir is like a liquid yogurt. It's loaded with bacteria, healthy bacteria for the colon, and that keeps their digestive system moving right, and it keeps everything just healthy down there. So that's important.
And a lot of you folks are thinking, well, we don't have kids, and so why are we doing a show on children? Let me tell you what, right now in the United States, the leading cause of death in our kids age 14 and under, other than accidents, is cancer. I mean, the leading cause of death in our kids is cancer other than accidents. I mean, think about that for a second. We have entire hospitals devoted to cancer research in children. And see, a child's health is not his responsibility. It's the parent's responsibility. And that's why we're talking about this in such depth today. Now, we have 20 things on this list. Obviously, we're almost out of time. We're not going to be able to get through the entire 20 list, but we'll go as fast as we can for the rest of it. Now, what's the next thing on the list, Sharon?
The next thing are snacks. Kids are so used to eating these high sugar junk foods, and you really need to give them healthy snacks. Now, the old motto, an apple a day keeps the doctor away, I still say that to my kids. I have them eat an apple every day. Make sure they're organic. Organic apples are not that more expensive than other apples. They're so much better. You don't get the pesticides and the herbicides and all the poisons on it. And you know, apples are waxed, and you can't get that stuff off no matter what kind of wash you use. So give your children an apple a day and use organic apples. You can also have healthy snacks that are bars and cookies every now and then, but they're not loaded with sugar. They're sweetened with maybe brown rice syrup or agave, which is an excellent sweetener, and more foods are sweetened with that today. So there are alternatives.
And you know, it's also interesting that we found a lot of the pesticides that are used today. In fact, it's kind of interesting. Since this World War II, we've had about 30,000, actually over 30,000 chemicals introduced into the food supply and into the environment after World War II. And what I find fascinating, a lot of these chemicals, especially the pesticides, contain what we call xenoestrogens. And basically, they're estrogen compounds that are unbelievably poisonous. And they can actually feminize a child if they get too many of these pesticides into their diet, along with soy products. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. Never give a child soy either, because it'll do the same thing. So you need to avoid as much as possible fruits and vegetables that are not organic, because they contain all of these xenoestrogens because of all the sprays they put on them, and it's very difficult because these fruits are a porous membrane. We call it a semi-permeable membrane in biology that actually absorb a lot of this poison. You can't get it back off. The exception being like a banana. You're pretty safe with a banana because you're peeling it. But with the other types of fruit where you eat the skin, you really need to stay away from the pesticides. They're really bad.
That's true.
Now, we missed one thing here on the list, the omega-3 fats.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Absolutely critical. The omega-3 fats are like cod liver oil. Now, this is absolutely critical, especially when a woman is pregnant, because I don't know if we'll be able to do the prenatal stuff here. We're going to run out of time. But when a woman is pregnant, the last trimester, she has to take something like an omega-3 fatty acid supplement, like cod liver oil. And the reason for that is that baby's brain is developing at a very rapid pace the last trimester, and it has to have omega-3 fat. If it doesn't get omega-3 fat from the diet, like that's why we tell you to take additional cod liver oil, it will actually suck the omega-3 fat from the mother's brain. And that causes a lot of problems with a condition called postpartum depression. That's one of the problems, you know, with a lot of women after they have children. They weren't supplementing their diet with omega-3 fat. Well, the body took it out of their brains to give to the child. So make sure that you take cod liver oil every single day, because, by the way, it's one of the most effective treatments for mild to moderate forms of depression without, you know, using drugs. And by the way, it was interesting. I was just reading the paper just the other day, and it said a study has just been done using antidepressants and using a placebo, which is like a sugar pill, and it found that the placebos versus antidepressants were almost as effective, only a few percentage different, and they said statistically it was almost not even significant that people were getting better without taking the drugs, taking a placebo pill. And the reality is cod liver oil is one of the most effective things you can ever take to avoid mild to moderate forms of depression, along with avoiding artificial sweeteners like aspartame, which causes a real bad problem with depression.
And let your children see you taking it.
Well,
then it's not so hard for them to take it.
And another thing I want to share real quick, and before we get off the topic too far about this, is stress with kids. When you elevate cortisol level because of stress, you impair brain and cognitive function. So if you have a small child and the child's all stressed out all the time, you want them to excel in school, or you want them to excel in martial arts, you want them to excel in soccer, and you're push, especially when they're little, it really affects them. And we see this with the children who are born to low-income families. When they're under a lot of stress because of finances, in many cases they have cognitive impairment, or brain development doesn't occur properly from the extra cortisol that's being pumped into the system every single day. So try to keep your child's life as happy and as healthy as you possibly can, like what we do with our kids. We allow them to do one sport when they get to the ages of 8 or 9, and we just limit it, because we're not going to be going from soccer practice to karate practice to piano practice to chess practice. We're not going to do that, because it's not fair to the child to put them through that. I know last year Harrison started taking Chinese in school. He's in a private school. And this is my 8-year-old. He got all stressed out about the Chinese. So I called up the teacher and I said, look, you got to make this Chinese fun. I said, my son's coming home all stressed out about this test he's got to take, and he's like in 2nd grade. I said, this isn't necessary. This is 2nd grade. This isn't college. He doesn't have to be stressed out.
Well, they have enough stress coming up. They don't have to have it at such a young age. You know, you talked about the protein and the eggs, but the children need to eat a digestible protein.
That's correct.
Because their little bodies aren't fully developed. Okay, they haven't reached their height. Just on the inside, they haven't completely.
That's right.
Their organs aren't complete.
They're not producing the pancreatic enzymes that their body needs in order to digest meat.
Right?
That's correct. And so little children, remember Daniel's diet in the Old Testament? Daniel was eating fruits and vegetables, and he had a better glow, and he was healthier than all of the king's men. The same thing is true with a child. When a child is young, it's very, very important that that child does not eat excessive quantities of animal protein. Now remember, one of the first things we tell you, in fact it's on the list, we're not going to have time to get through it all today, is that don't give them high-fat luncheon meats, bacon, sausage, ham, pepperoni, and hot dogs. Not only does it increase the risk of leukemia in the children by 9-fold with 3 hot dogs a week, according to the University of Southern California, it also causes all types of other problems with cancer. So keep these kids away from high-fat luncheon meats. Make sure they don't eat this type of food. Make their protein sources, the organic milk, the organic kefir, the organic cheese, the organic eggs, almond butter, anything, but not peanut butter. Peanut butter is hard to digest too.
Butter, and then the protein shakes. We make these incredible protein shakes, and the kids love them.
We have an excellent source of protein that we got out of New Zealand, and it's absolutely the best tasting protein you've ever tasted. Like, it tastes like Carnation instant breakfast, but it's actually healthy for you. And the kids are always coming home from school saying, Daddy, can we have a protein shake? Daddy, can we have a protein shake?
Put frozen bananas in them.
Frozen bananas, frozen fruits in it. The kids absolutely love it. See, here's the thing, guys. If your kids are 20, 30, 40 pounds overweight, okay, it doesn't have to be that way. If you're 20, 30, 40 pounds overweight, it doesn't have to be that way. But guys, I heard an old Baptist preacher one time, he said it so succinctly. He said, every pot sits on its own bottom. And that's true. Our health is our responsibility. And guys, we're almost out of time. We barely touched this list. But remember this. Your health is your responsibility, just like your pot sits on its own bottom. With children, it's the same thing. Their health is your responsibility, and you've got to make sure you take care of your children, because it's horrible for me to see. I mean, I remember one time I was up in Jacksonville doing a seminar, and this young girl was at the airport. It was so sad, and she had cancer. And she had just recovered. She had just returned from the Mayo Clinic, and she was like 11 years old, and she had a Twinkie in one hand and a soda in the other hand, eating the Twinkie and drinking the soda. And I asked her, because she was wearing a ski cap, I said, do you have a problem with your health? And she goes, well, yeah, I'm in cancer treatment. And then I said, why are you drinking sodas and eating Twinkies? And she said, well, the doctor told me to eat everything I possibly could because I'm going to lose weight because of the chemotherapy. Now, how sad is that? The reason she probably has cancer to begin with is because she was drinking and eating these types of foods. So you can't build a healthy body by putting your child on junk food. It's not possible. It won't happen. And that child becomes progressively sicker and sicker and sicker. And sometimes the DNA is irreparably damaged from this, and it may cause the next generation of children that they have to be sick. That's why children today are actually being born with cancer, Sharon. It's amazing. It's sad. Now, the next thing on the list we've got to have is
sunshine.
Sunshine.
That's important.
Sunshine's absolutely critical. You've got to get your kids out in the sun. Now, I'm not talking about in the blistering noonday sun in Florida where it's 100 degrees outside with 95% humidity and you're miserable outside. I'm talking about get them out in the morning, get them out late in the evening, but they've got to have sunshine. They have to be able to assimilate vitamin D. You know, rickets was a big problem because kids weren't getting enough vitamin D during the Industrial Revolution. They started supplementing the milk with vitamin D to try to get get rickets taken care of. And the reality is you've got to get your kids sunshine every single day if at all possible. No, if it's raining or you're living in an overcast climate, you may have to do it with other types of supplements. In fact, the cod liver oil has vitamin D in it.
It does.
In fact, it helps prevent rickets. In fact, Grandma used to always say, take your cod liver oil every day because it'll make you healthier. And the reason that first started was to prevent the rickets in the children. But it's very, very important that the kids have sunshine.